Hello there. I think we're up and running. Okay, so we're looking at welcome back from spring break. So we're working our way back. So we'll get period 5 and 4 this week. And maybe we do 1 and 2 and 3 next week. And one's pretty short, but look at where we're at. We're back to last semester. All right. So working our way back a little bit. So here in just a second, pause it. Remember how it's going to go down the left side over here. You're going to put all the stuff that you know about it. Everything you remember, 1844. That's when Polk got elected. 1877, that's the last year of Reconstruction. So it's basically Mexican War to Reconstruction, the end of Reconstruction. All right, and then I'll send you somebody over there on the right side. What's the guy's name? Adam Norris, I believe is that guy's name. And write down what he has to say about it. Okay? All right, so let's go. Let's see what we got. All right. So Polk is the guy getting elected. He's got 5440 or fight. Is going to be his campaign slogan. And what it was AP work can make grades so awful, social structures. All right, we're adding to it. All right. He believed in manifest destiny, so that's kind of American identity. He was a dog. It's very much politics here. He's a Democrat. His nickname was Young Hickory, and he's a Tennessee Democrat. So he's just like Jackson. And this notion that he wants to spread the country out. He's working in the tradition of Jefferson and Jackson. The frontier is still wide open, and the frontier is the safety valve we know from that Turner thesis for the common man. If the common man can't make it. So, as the case with what Jefferson and Louisiana Purchase, if you get all the Southwest, you get everything in the, like the Southwest is going to be like California, Arizona, New Mexico, all that. That's unlimited frontier for the common man again. All right, so this guy, he'd been the governor of Tennessee, so he wasn't unknown, but he was a dark horse candidate, and he defeated poor old Henry Clay. All right. So then, what does he do? Well, he backs off on 5440 or fight, not 54 or fight. I wonder if I can do that or not. 5440. All right. And remember, he compromises over Oregon. He takes it at 49 degrees north because he doesn't want a two-front war. We know pretty well that's not going to work out well for Germany in the world wars. Polk's a smart guy. All right, and then he's got to decide, he wants California. What's the big deal about California? Well, it's good farmland, grapes of wrath and, all that, the peach orchards and so forth. He's got that Mediterranean climate, and it's just great. Great climate there in California, and also you get so let's say climate, and then Asia trade. Trade with China, and trade with China is where it's at. And China's just always very important globally for all the people there that can buy the stuff and so forth that we're selling. So he wants it for that reason. He's afraid that Britain's going to take it. Canada was part of Britain. There were Canadians. Living in that big old tall Oregon that went up all the way to 5440. And so, somebody's going to get California. There's, it's a state in Mexico, but not many people live out there. Some Indians, some Mexicans live out there, but not a lot. It's pretty sparsely populated. So some big power is going to get it. So remember, he puts old Rough and Ready, Taylor, in the disputed territory. We now kind of know it's kind of like the Gulf of Tonkin resolution, with Johnson and kind of baiting an attack. And so it comes, and so what does he say? American blood, American soil. So it has been shed on American soil. So there's you some geography there. All right, so then you have the fight. You know, you got the war, and what? It's old Rough and Ready and old Fuss and Feather. So Taylor is old Rough and Ready. All right, Winfield Scott is old Fuss and Feathers. Remember you had Los Niños Heroes. At this point, certain people in the class are hating on my pronunciation, and I'm hating back. So, you know, that's at what, Chapultepec? Chapultepec. I think I spelled that right. Probably not. All right. Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, you know, gives, so there's, gives the United States the Southwest, pretty much everything in the Southwest. And so then the question is the spread of slavery. All right. You know, slavery itself, I think we're kind of putting the conditions of slavery. I think we're putting that, I would put that at period 4, you know, the antebellum period. So I'm not going to say too much about like the spread of slavery here. This is like the, you know, the controversies. All right, so what do you think? So is it going to spread or is it not? So you got what, the Wilmot Proviso? It will not spread. Proviso. But it never passed the, it passed the House where the North had advantage, never passed the Senate. So I don't know, maybe we'll just put an X by the Wilmot Proviso, meaning, hey, it won't spread, and then, hey, it didn't pass. So then, you know, you got Clay doing his thing, Compromise of 1850. Can you tell all 5 parts of the Compromise of 1850? Been a while on that one. So California, so what will I say? California is going to be a free state. Utah, New Mexico, you don't know. Kind of maybe popular sovereignty, kind of question mark. Texas losing some land. Fugitive Slave Act. And then Washington, D.C., no slave trade. Let's do a little singing. And I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. I can't remember it. Take my people. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Together we are going to a brand new home far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. There you go, baby. All right, so dang good song right there. So remember, the Fugitive Slave Act was the anti-Harriet Tubman Act. All right, and Harriet Tubman was just such an affront to the honor of John, you know, the John C. Calhoun style Southern slave owner. Now Calhoun dies, Clay dies like 1852. Both of them dying like 1851, 52, 1853, somewhere in there. All right, nobody's really satisfied with the Compromise of 1850. So then you got Stephen Douglas. He of 1S. All right, Kansas, Nebraska. They're going to vote on it. Popular Kansas, Nebraska. So it's kind of fired, kind of good, kind of a neat feeling here to think to yourself, hey, we've reviewed all the way back through this semester here. All right, that's a victory in a sense, isn't it? You know, maybe we're not waiting for the ghost of Tom Joad, maybe we're waiting for the ghost of Tom Joad. There we go. All right, not with the ghost, but maybe waiting on the ghost. Okay, so that's Kansas, Nebraska. They're both going to vote on it. The assumption is that Nebraska is going to vote it down, but that Kansas is going to vote it up. Douglas is kind of pro-choice on slavery. You know, he doesn't care, just let the people decide. All right, and so it's going to be Bleeding Kansas. John Brown, hacking them up. Potawatomi Massacre. Broadswords with his sons. All right, and so then, what will we have next? All right, that's Kansas, Nebraska is 1854. Bleeding Kansas, 1855. Let's let Brooks, Kane, Sumner, 1856, I think. You know, Sumner, Would go on to be a radical Republican. He's from Massachusetts. He made the speech, "The Crime of Kansas," and he's hating on the South, and he's hating on Butler, this South Carolina guy who's related to Brooks. And you cane somebody if they're not worth a duel. All right, so then you got Dred Scott, 1857. A slave owner can take his property anywhere he wants. The slave has no rights that a white man is bound to respect. A slave's not a citizen. And so that means a slave's property, you can take your property anywhere you want to. All right, so that means that now there's no limits on where somebody takes their slaves. So that gets Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln comes out of retirement. So Lincoln Douglas, this is such a great period, isn't it? All right, Douglas has the, what's the name of the thing? Douglas got the, what? Lincoln's going to say there's no such thing as popular sovereignty anymore. And Douglas is going to have the, it's going to be called the Freeport Doctrine. You can keep something out even if it's not illegal, is his argument there. All right, but Douglas wins. Remember that? A lot of people forgot that. Douglas wins in 1858, the Senate seat. Let's see. 1859. Do we have anything? 1859. Man, I know I've got something 1859. But the election of 1860. Lincoln's going to run for president. What happens 1859? There was something in there. I can't remember what it is, though. All right, so Lincoln, you remember that, everybody splits the vote every which way. His position is he just, he's not an abolitionist. He's not a radical. He just doesn't want to let it spread. And as soon as he gets elected, well, you got secession. All right, 7 southern states secede. South Carolina first, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas. All right, you got Fort Sumter. Then you get the next 4. What? North Carolina, Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee. All right, so then you got your war. So Lincoln calls up troops, the upper South, and so then it's early on in the war. It's all about the border states. Let's see if we can name us some border states. West Virginia eventually. Missouri, Kentucky, Delaware, Maryland. All these states have slaves in them, but they hadn't seceded. So loyal slave states. So Lincoln doesn't want to make them mad, so he's got that awful quote, remember, if I could preserve the Union by ending slavery, I would. If I could preserve the Union by not ending slavery, I would. If I could preserve the Union by ending it in some places, I would. Then there's the Eastern and the Western theater. So in the East, you got Lee and, the no good wimpy generals McClellan who won't ever fight. So you got the battles of Bull Run, the first and second Bull Run, the Peninsula Campaign, and each step of the way, Lincoln's just kind of doing his thing. All right, and then Antietam, remember Lee wants to get some northern territory, so he can get British help. Because the southern advantage, they got better leaders, they got home field advantage, they kind of believe in what they're doing to start off with, but they need that help. They need the Civil War to be a rerun of the Revolutionary War, where Britain jumps in the way France had jumped in the Revolutionary War. Isn't that cool to go back and remember that stuff again? The northern advantage is resources. They just got more of everything you need in the war. More guns, more terror, more states, more people, more machines, more factories, more weapons, more bullets, more railroad tracks, everything you need. So it's resources versus better. Resources versus skill, really. All right. And in the West, you got Grant. So Grant's doing his thing in the West. Fort Henry, Fort Donelson, Shiloh, surprise attack. Then Vicksburg, is there on the Mississippi River, and it's the siege of Vicksburg. Man, it just makes me feel good talking about this stuff. All right, can we sing the Civil War? Da 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 da. There's folks like across the street doing construction work, and they're giving me crazy looks. But you know, there's stuff going on in the back. We rained last night, so it's wet, and I can't do it in the backyard either. All right, so the siege of Vicksburg. Once the siege is over, the Father of Waters flows unvexed to the sea. Grant sends to Lincoln, and then you got Gettysburg. 3-day battle, the flanking on one side, then the other side, and then Pickett's charge. All right, then you got what? The Gettysburg Address. Let's see, what did I learn? I was watching like the Civil War video, the Ken Burns video, around the time we were studying it, and what Lee's trying to do when he attacks in Gettysburg up there in Pennsylvania. I'm gonna walk to the backyard. All right, the construction's getting kind of loud over here. I'll just have to stand up. I got no place to sit. Hope y'all appreciate this, me standing up in the backyard rather than sitting down. And I wonder if it affects the quality of the sound, you know, that I'm walking around and standing up here. All right, but we're going to the backyard. All right, get away from the construction stuff. Okay. All right, so we're just going to stand right here and do it. All right. And so Lee was trying to kind of draw Grant away from Vicksburg. Vicksburg, you know, was under all kinds of pressure, right? And so Lee wants to get Northern Territory, but he's also trying to get Grant out of Vicksburg. Pickett's charge ruins everything, and it ruins Lee's hopes of ever getting any European help. All right, so the Gettysburg Address, what is it, November 19th? I think the Gettysburg Address is November 19th. I think Kennedy got killed November 22nd, 100 years later, 1863 and like 1963. I think they're both in November. Because we do it in Thanksgiving. You know, we did the Gettysburg Address Thanksgiving. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation conceived in liberty, dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we're engaged in a great civil... Is that what goes next? Yeah. Now we're engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so dedicated and so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this, but in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, consecrated far above our poor power to add or detract. It is, the world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. As for us, the living, be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who struggled here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that the nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom. That's the key word now. You know, and the government of the people by the people shall not perish from the earth. All right. So remember now what he's saying. That, is holy blood, sanctifying blood, to make the original American sin of slavery right. And he's changing the meaning of American. He's going back from the Constitution to the Declaration of Independence, taking seriously for the first time the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. Sacred words right there. All right, so then, what? Grant's got to go to the east? All right, what? Grant's going to, he's going to burn Atlanta. All right, and then he's marching to the sea, to Savannah. And then what? Lee's going to surrender at Appomattox. And I think I spelled that right. All right, the end of the Civil War. All right, so that gets us to Reconstruction. Let's see how much room I got for Reconstruction. Let's see what we're looking at here. That's pretty good, isn't it? All right. So Reconstruction in 3 parts, right? So presidential Reconstruction. You know, are you going to hug them? You're going to slug them. You going to forgive them? Or are you going to kick them while they're down? Construction. What was Lincoln saying? That second inaugural address. At the end of it. With malice towards none, charity for all, firmness in the right. As God gives us to see the right, let us strive to bind up the nation's wound, to care for the widow, the orphan. I can't remember the last, but you know, it's forgiveness. All right, but the problem with forgiveness is forgiveness is also a tolerant thing, and you're tolerating the same old social structure. So it's going to be, you know, an easy reconstruction, the 10% plan, and it's not really helping what the sharecroppers and tenant farmers. Not helping the freedmen. You got the Freedmen's Bureau that's trying to help. And it's giving like food and education, even health care, but it's not giving any land. That's what they need the most of. And so then Lincoln gets killed and Johnson takes his place, and Johnson's a Southerner. Johnson wants to go easy on the South, and he's letting the South in with what? The black codes. But in the election of 1866, he's such a bad politician that the radicals take over. All right, and so what? The radicals are going to go 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. No slavery, civil rights. Anyone born in the United States automatically a citizen. Voting rights for African American men. Flip the script. Turn that social structure upside down. So there's the S in social structure. You're going to have African American voting, African American elected officials, former Confederates not voting. So, oh no, we don't want that. Go back. All right. Well, I'll just have to do that. All right. So you got the Klan forming in retaliation to it. And then what? So you got all this going on, and Grant's like taking on the Klan. So what? The Force Acts, Grant's finest hour as president. Or the Enforcement Acts, the Ku Klux Klan Act, and he gets rid of the Klan until the 20s. But then you got the Panic of 1873. And, you know, you got the corruption. You know, and that gets into the next chapter in Garfield and Arthur and Boss Tweed and all that. But the combination of the bad economy and the corruption and the Southern white resentment is going to lead to the Compromise of 1877. Where the North just kind of gives up. They're tired, and they say, well, if you let our guy Hayes, our Republican Hayes, be president, we'll get out of the South. Let's put, what are we going to put? Let's put the 5 military districts here. But that's it. Anything else we need to say about all that? Let's play categories for a second. AP work can make grades seriously awful. A, is America in the world? Well, you know, is Europe going to intervene in the war? All right, let's see, politics. You know, politics is based on race so much. You know, the Democratic Party is the party of the Confederacy and the party of the Klan. The Republicans are the anti-slavery party, the pro-civil rights party in one way or another. AP work. What does W stand for? Crap. I'll come back to it. All right, AP work. Culture. All right, culture. All right, so we got some cultural stuff here. Culture, I don't know that we have a lot of. Not in this one. You know, I guess the Southern culture was such that the Northerners weren't really welcome. I don't really think I got a lot of cultural stuff there. All right, AP work can make migration. Here we go. Let's add something. What do we call them? Carpetbaggers. Scalawags. Whoop. Can't spell. Weak on culture, though. I'll tell you that right now. Weak on. So what if we? Here we go. Culture. Let's get some books going. So we back it up. Let's put it maybe right here. Where you want to put it? Bleeding Kansas. Uncle Tom's Cabin, baby. So you're the little lady here at Beecher Stowe who wrote this book, who calls this great war. All right, Hinton Helper. What do you write? Impending crisis in the South. All right. So there's some culture. AP work can make migration, grades geography. Well, north and south. It's all north and like border states. The importance of the border states on politics. You know, the Eastern theater, the Western theater. Things go a lot better for the South in the Eastern theater of the war. Can make great social structure. So, I mean, the whole question in Reconstruction is going to be the same old social structure, or is it bottom rail top, baby? Bottom rail top. So there's your social structure. For a moment, it was bottom rail top, but only for a moment. All right, can make grade seriously awful. America, what's the other America? Crap. America in the world, American identity. Boom, baby. All right, is a former slave an American? Is a slave, is an African American full-fledged citizen? A former slave or a freedman full-fledged citizens? All right, Dred Scott, you know, do African Americans have the same rights as whites? So yeah, American identity. I mean, that's all over the Civil War and Reconstruction. What does it mean to be an American? All right, that's the Gettysburg Address. You know, changing American identity. You know, American identity is not about what the Constitution says. It's about what the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence says. You know, so it's not, does the Constitution protect slavery? Is slavery an American thing? So I mean, you know, Lincoln, nobody ever spoke better about American identity than Abraham Lincoln. All right, so identity. Okay, what do you think? I think that took 37 minutes. That's going to be my guesstimation. All right, let's see what we got.